Coach Churchman called me and said, the coaches are really frustrated. They're losing players in late spring, even into the summer to Division One. It's just really impossible to have any type of continuity, any type of certainty what the roster might look like coming out of spring practice, and we need to do some things.
Hard to believe we're at the very end of the 25-26 academic school year, and here to join me to get everything caught up on the spring sports season is the MIAA Commissioner, Mike Racy. Thank you for coming on again today. It is hard to believe we're at the spring sport championship part of the year where teams are in the postseason. Conference tournaments are pretty much done now. Now it's on to NCAA tournaments.
Yeah, it's a busy time of year, Chris, at the collegiate level. Lots going on. Obviously, schools having graduation, conference championships. Now the NCAA starts. So fun time of year, though. Always fun to kind of be at the end, wrapping up, celebrating a great year, and obviously starting to look forward to next year.
And you've gotten to experience every part of weather, haven't you, in the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, it's been right. It's been a busy couple of weeks with MIAA tennis and MIAA baseball, and we've battled some weather and moved some things around. But we had two really good championships: tennis in Springfield, Missouri, and baseball in Edmond, Oklahoma. And we've got our teams playing and ready and for NCAA playoffs, and so we've done our part.
As we talk about spring sports, now everybody's starting to look ahead to next year already. I know that you'll get some downtime maybe for a few weeks here this summer. I know there's a lot of meetings that go on every summer for the MIAA, but let's start with one of the bigger talking points, I think, across not just Division II, but all of college sports, college football, the transfer portal. We've known it for a long time. Transfer portal at Division I, it's a mess. I mean, it's a mess constantly because there's kids in and out of the portal. But now there's a new Division II football transfer portal window. Just take me through from what you've heard from coaches and the MIAA schools about how this can help Division II college football, because as we know, there's a lot of Division I schools coming in and taking some of the top talent from Division II, which is a double-edged sword because it does prove that, hey, MIAA has some of the best athletes, best players out there, but also that means they're taking them away from Division II out of the programs as well.
Yeah, you want to strike a balance in this area, Chris. You certainly don't want to limit opportunities that student athletes have if they've shown their abilities to maybe be at least considered for an opportunity in Division I where they can make some money and have a completely different type of experience. You don't want to block that, but we also need to create a system for our coaches where they can build a roster, manage a roster, enter into different parts of the season and believe that they know what their team's going to look like. They have that set, and that's what this is. This is an opportunity to really try to align the windows for students to consider transferring to be exactly what Division I has in the sport of football. And this was really an idea, I think, that started with the Division II Football Coaches Connection Group. That group is led by former Northwest Missouri State football coach Mel Churchma. He works with the NCAA in organizing that. Coach Churchma called me and said, the coaches are really frustrated. They're losing players in late spring, even into the summer to Division I. It's just really impossible to have any type of continuity, any type of certainty what the roster might look like coming out of spring practice, and we need to do some things. So the MIAA and we've had conversations with athletic directors, other commissioners, and really it was President Thomas Newsom, who's a new member of the NCAA Division II Executive Board, that was able to really get this across the finish line in allowing the Division II Executive Board at their April meeting to pass emergency legislation effective June 1st, where the transfer opportunities in football for Division II student athletes will line up exactly what Division I has. So next January, there will be a 2 or 3 week period of time that if a student athlete in Division II, after his season, believes that they want to take a look at what else is out there, they'll have that opportunity to enter into the portal. Other than that, they're committed to being part of the team that they're part of, and I think that'll bring some certainty into kind of the roster management that our coaches need for Division II football.
And you look at it historically, I mean, when we get to signing day in mid-February, I mean, that was usually okay. You knew exactly what your roster was going to be. Maybe a couple of transfers or something trickles in later. But now you have that signing day, and it's the Wild West still. I mean, there could have been a lot of changes, and we've talked about before where, let's face it, Power Four, it's a business. It's basically professional football inside of NCAA, where I got
Yeah.
a free agent, so to speak, in June. And then the Division II coaches are scrambling because that may be their players. So
Yeah,
it's
last year, Ole Miss, the Trinidad Chambliss, that was playing football at Ferris State. Obviously, a great quarterback, and obviously showed that he could play at the Division I level. He was still on campus at Ferris State last May, and Ole Miss did not talk to him about transferring until after spring ball was over. And Ferris State, obviously they still did okay. They had a couple of other quarterbacks ready to go, but it just shows that losing a player like that in May, it could have been very disruptive to their team, to their roster, and what they're trying to do. And that's one example. That's going on probably on every one of our MIAA campuses, a risk of losing players that late in the spring or early summer, and that's the issue we're trying to address.
and probably isn't an easy decision either for a lot of the student athletes either. I mean, yeah, if you've got one of the Power Four, the big boys come calling, that's a hard thing to say no to regardless of the year.
Right.
So does that take maybe that pressure off of them from, am I leaving my friends behind for the opportunity? Do I feel guilt? Stuff like that that puts extra pressure on these 18 to 22, 23-year-olds that feel like, okay, if Ole Miss or whoever comes calling in May and June, how do I pass this up, or what do I do? To me, that also maybe helps a student athlete to not feel as much pressure of, okay, am I letting my friends down? Am I letting them down when you have the same amount of time as everybody else does, and that transfer window that will be, in play next year?
Yeah, and the thing I really worry about that this whole transfer situation has opened up is the lost opportunities for student athletes to really build a legacy, a lifelong legacy, a lifelong connection with the university. A young man that, might be an All-American after his junior season and decides that, maybe there's an opportunity for me to play somewhere else, maybe go to Division I for my senior year. They may end up there. They may start, they may be fourth string. Um, but if they would have gone back to the Division II school, to the MIAA institution, maybe they're an All-American again. Maybe they're, celebrated forever and ever on that campus when they come back on Saturday for homecomings, bring their grandkids. And a lot of student athletes are throwing that away. They're throwing that Hall of Fame opportunity away for a chance to go and maybe play Division I and make a little money. And I'm afraid a lot of our student athletes are going to come to regret that someday, that they didn't stay where they were. The grass isn't always greener And there's something to be said about being great where you are and enjoying that moment, and then obviously enjoying the benefits and the network that come with that as a result of being great at a Division II school.
Let's look at some other scenarios that are happening in the Division I level of things that may have a trickle down effect at some point. I mean, we've talked about it. Gosh, I don't know how long we've been doing this now for, what, 5, 6 years now, and the conversation's been Division I programs, obviously football and men's basketball, and women's basketball to an extent as well. Those programs bring the money in. March Madness, your college football playoff. Those are the big things at Division I. But now you have Division I programs cutting tennis programs. They're starting to cut
Right.
other programs too. This was probably something that was coming, but maybe it's a little bit faster than what people thought it would be, and how quickly the decisions are being made. What are your overall thoughts on, what this is showing or saying about what's happening at Division I, and can this trickle down too?
Well, Division I is certainly showing that the sports that have opportunities for revenue are being prioritized. It's sports like tennis, where there really are limited opportunities on revenue, on driving revenue, are really being sacrificed, for the balance sheet of the athletic department. And we saw just I think it was last week or the week before, the University of Arkansas announced that they're dropping tennis. And that's a Southeastern Conference school that's decided that they're going to be better off not sponsoring tennis. And there is a real risk that some of this does trickle down. And I think when I look at what we've done, Chris, in the MIAA, take a sport like men's tennis, we saw some risk a few years ago, and the answer for us was not to just watch it go away or die off. The answer for us was really to be proactive and try to develop a partnership, a unique partnership with the Great American Conference and the Northern Sun that really saved men's tennis, has saved men's tennis in the Midwest for Division II athletics. And we've got a unique partnership where we've got Augustana from the Northern Sun in men's tennis, and then uh, four schools from the Great American Conference that are part of MIAA men's tennis and compete in our regular season, compete for our conference championship. And we've done the same thing on the men's soccer side as a solution of how we protect and preserve that sport for the schools that are sponsoring that. And I think what we're going to need to do in all of college athletics, and probably especially in Division II, is continue to look for these creative solutions to help protect sports, especially those that are at risk. And it's so important to make sure we're doing things that make sense geographically, that makes sense from a scheduling standpoint, that makes sense financially. And these regional partnerships, I think, are the way of the future, the way that we're going to continue to find opportunities to protect some of these sports that are at risk.
And I don't know if there's a clear cut and dry answer to this question, but how much do Division II schools have to pay attention to what's happening with state funding for a lot of the schools too? Division I's a little bit of a different ball game, but when it comes to state funding, whether it's Missouri, Kansas, et cetera, if there's cuts there on the academic side, and then your enrollment's down and all this stuff, how much does that have to be into this whole just equation for, okay, what does it look like for Division II schools, MIAA schools, when it comes to having sports, and which ones make money, which ones don't? Where do we have to cut costs at?
I think very, very much it's top of mind in Division II. Division I historically, their model was really about um, creating an athletic department that could be self-supporting, self-sustaining. Division I, a lot of schools have pulled that back I think recently the University of Kansas has decided, that model does not work for us. We've got to be back fully integrated with the overall university budget and the things that we need as a department. We're part of that process that the business school and the sciences, everybody is part of this same university budget. Well, that is exactly the way it works in Division II. An athletic director is sitting at the table in the same way as the dean of the School of Business and the dean of health and sciences, and they're looking at state funding and overall revenue for the university and trying to figure out what is the impact on my department. So, for Division II athletic directors, that issue about declining state funding, declining enrollment, declining overall institutional revenue, all of those things have a direct impact on the intercollegiate athletics budget and what that intercollegiate athletic department is able to look like.
Get us a little bit away from maybe some doom and gloom conversation that people are like, man, these guys are not having a good conversation today. But let's talk about some of the revenue the MIAA network is bringing into to the conference and to the member schools. How have you seen the MIAA network continue to grow this year, and what really stood out to you about this 25-26 year?
Yeah, over 1,600 live broadcasts this year, and that's a new record. Last year we set a record in revenue that was generated for the network through the subscription model, and this year we beat last year's record by 15%. So all of this money is being distributed back to our athletic departments. And, we were just talking about kind of funding, while some of the funding from the state, continues to decrease. We continue to see, record numbers and record distributions that we're doing through our MIAA network model. And we're very proud of what we built. We're not part of someone else's platform. We control this. We make the decisions. We have a great partnership with Huddle. They perform and provide all of the technology for us. But, the MIAA network is ours. It's controlled by the MIAA. We make all the decisions on pricing and the broadcast standards. And, we continue to see just a great decision by, I think, our MIAA leadership to continue to keep this as uniquely MIAA and not to be part of something else, not to be in with other conferences and some other type of model. There's a lot to be said for the freedom we have to make some of these decisions. And one of the ones I think that continues to pay off for us, Chris, is this idea of some of our events being designated as premium events. And it provides incentive for, I think, our MIAA fans of why they would have a monthly subscription or an annual subscription. These premium events where, big games in basketball, football, baseball, softball, other sports, volleyball, against non-conference opponents, those events are going to be priced, at a little higher rate that the market shows that it'll pay for people outside the MIAA to come in and watch these games. So that, I think, continues to contribute to reasons why we see the MIAA network revenue continue to grow. Down the road, I think you're going to see more and more schools use the network for other events like graduation, like coaches shows, like press conferences. Some of our schools are really good at that. Some of our schools are just now getting into that. I think the future of the MIAA network, we could start to see institutions that want to do subscription models for different events on campus, like plays, like concerts, things that are part of their theater and arts program, using the MIAA as an already built platform where they could promote that event and have their fans go to that, and if they can't be there in person, to pay to watch that event as a live event on the MIAA network. So the future's bright. Lots of opportunities down the road, but we couldn't be happier with our partnership with Huddle and the things that we've created through the MIAA network.
When you talk about the future of the network, and as we're seeing with everything, any type of subscription platform, or whether it's Paramount, Peacock, Netflix, whatever it is, that's where everything is right now. And just kind of everybody's streaming, everybody's trying to find what's going to latch people onto it. You talk about where there's room to grow. Where do you guys feel like, that is where is that room to have maybe unique opportunities for the MIAA to do things that no other conference is doing with the network? Because like you said, you guys control it. You guys, the league, the conference, the schools control what is in that subscription as well.
Yeah, well, we're working with technology that is kind of dependent on a stream that works, and even CBS and NBC occasionally have problems with their stream, or with their audio, or with their pictures. So we realize that all of that has not been perfected, but what we did decide on day one when we launched this about 7-8 years ago is that we have to show our fans value. People aren't going to pay a subscription if they don't see value in what you're delivering. And we're delivering 1,600 live broadcasts. As an office, we're auditing the quality of those broadcasts. Some meet our minimum broadcast standards. Some do not live up to those minimum broadcast standards. And in those cases, we have to hold our schools accountable, and we do, through our distribution formula and what schools receive. There are penalties that we have in place. We have an MIAA network task force, and they meet on a regular basis. They decide the broadcast standards. They decide what is the minimum number of cameras that we need at a volleyball match. What is the minimum number of cameras needed for a football game? Those are in writing. Those are policies all of our schools agree to, and we hold each other accountable. That's the way you build quality, and that's the way you build value that you can demonstrate to your audiences. So that's the thing I think that we need to continue to be committed to be set in a mode that we can continue to improve. We can continue to get better cameras, better announcers, better enhanced broadcast standards. And as we do that, I think it continues to be a very good investment of an MIAA fans' resources, hard-earned resources, to be a fan, to be a subscriber to the network, and enjoy not only their team's games and events, but everything else happening across the conference.
A record-setting year for the MIAA network, 15% more revenue than last year's record, 1,600 plus events. I'd say things are going okay. Yeah.
Very happy on the network end. Very happy.
Let's talk a little bit about the summer months coming up here. I know that you're still in spring sports mode a little bit here, and there's a little bit of downtime after June. But the MIAA new strategic plan that you guys are working on, take me through that and what the MIAA is looking after we've talked about a lot of changes in Division I already today. Just what is in this strategic plan that will set the MIAA up for success?
Well, let me just say that in 2027, Chris, the MIAA will be celebrating its 115th birthday. And, that's an impressive number. There aren't a lot of conferences that can say that. There are not many conferences that are 100 years old, and we're adding to that number. And, we think it's a pretty good year when the country is celebrating this summer its 250th birthday, for us to be unveiling a brand new strategic plan that will really talk about some of the tradition and history and legacy of our conference. But the plan is also one that has to look forward and do so quickly. And it's probably going to be a 3 or 4 year strategic plan. And really, to summarize it, it's going to be a plan that's about bold action, um, that will allow the MIAA to continue to lead, innovate, and challenge the system to make sure that we're preserving the educational model of intercollegiate athletics. We are all in as a conference. We believe 100%, every one of our institutions, every one of our leaders, that collegiate athletics must be an integral part of the mission of higher education. Without an opportunity to offer student athletes athletic scholarships and to provide them a path to degree, there really isn't a purpose for college sports on many of our Division II campuses. So we are all in that. We've got to do things to continue to preserve what's great about college sports. And that is, the first thing that's great about college sports is that these are college students that are playing that game. And they're doing so because they have an opportunity through their skills to be on a college or at a university and get a degree. And that path to graduation is what every one of our student athletes is on. And we've got to do things to make sure in this strategic plan that we're taking a leadership role to help protect that. We also want to be doing things to continue to challenge what we currently have in Division II. How can we make it better? How can we make Division II championships better? How can we make the selection process or the bracketing process or the rules that we play with? How can we make all of that better? We're in a new world. There are things that we're not going to change. We're not going to go back to a period before name, image, and likeness. We're not going to go back to a period before student athletes are able to transfer and find a new school if they want. So how do we take this new world that we're in and the rules that we have in Division II and improve on those? And we've got to do that so we can continue to enhance the experience that student athletes that choose to come to an MIAA school have. So I'm excited about our plan. It'll be in front of our presidents for consideration when they meet in Topeka on June 8th. And sometime this summer, the new strategic plan will be unveiled. And while the nation's celebrating a brand new birthday of 250 years, we'll be celebrating a brand new strategic plan for this historic athletic association.
You talk about looking ahead and having a bold strategy for the student athlete side of it. When you talk about with the presidents of the schools and everything, they're obviously trying to figure out, okay, how do we get students to come to our university, our college too? Do those have to kind of go hand in hand too with this strategic plan too? Is academic side, how are they handling getting enrollment, or how they're getting, tuition, whatever it may be, while the athletic side is also like scholarships and, okay, how do we get students that want to come to the campus as well?
Well, I think every one of our presidents sees the value that intercollegiate athletics provides to the health of the university. It is truly a front porch in Division II. Intercollegiate athletics serves as that gateway that many people, it's really their only engagement with the university when they come to campus for a game or an event. The excitement that a Saturday afternoon football game provides to the student body. A lot of students decide, hey, I want to go to school there because when I went on my recruiting visit, I got to go to a football game and there's so much fun. And so I think our presidents understand that the MIAA has to continue to be the premier Division II intercollegiate athletic conference for them to continue to have success across campus to attract students, to find new donors, to engage with the community, to entertain boosters. Athletics is central to all of that, and I think our presidents are the 100%. They understand that that's the reality of Division II and the MIAA.
New strategic plan coming soon, potentially this summer, to kind of see what the MIAA has in plan and in store for the next 4 or 5 and for the future for the 120th birthday of the MIAA
Exactly.
here in
Exactly.
6 years. That's terrifying to think about. Anyway, 6 years, so that's quick. Before we get out of here, I want to touch on the MIAA Hall of Fame class. I'm going to be inducted on June 1st down at the Nelson Atkins Museum Auditorium down in Kansas City. Quite the Hall of Fame class going in this year. You have coaches, you have athletes, you have teams going in, basketball official going in, faculty represent a wide range of high-profile legacies going to the Hall of Fame this year.
Yeah, great. Another great class. We're an athletic association, Chris. It has, someone like Fog Allen, that's part of our Hall of Fame. Because before he was a great coach at KU, he was a great football and basketball coach at the University of Central Missouri. So, during our 113, 114 year existence, we've got a lot of great people, a lot of great coaches, student athletes, officials, administrators that have gone into our Hall of Fame, and this is no exception. We've got, you mentioned our basketball official, Terry Oglesby is going in. Football coach Dennis Franchione is going in. Ron McHenry, a great basketball player, and then a great women's basketball coach, golf coach at Washburn University is going in. Probably my favorite story is Dr. Paul Engelman from the University of Central Missouri. He's being honored in our Hall of Fame this year. Unfortunately, Paul passed away last year, and his family will be there to celebrate his induction. But great that as an association we have a faculty athletic representative, someone that was very involved in leadership for the MIAA and also leadership at the NCAA level. And Dr. Paul Engelman is somebody that has meant a lot to the success of our association, and we'll celebrate him on June 1st as well. But always a great night, Chris. Always a lot of fun. Blair Kirchhoff from the Kansas City Star serves as our master of ceremonies. We do the event at, as you mentioned, in the theater at Nelson Atkins Museum, right off the Country Club Plaza. It's a big night for the MIAA. We see a lot of friends, a lot of our partners and sponsors come and are a part of it, and really looking forward to another great night June 1st.
Let's say you look at Dr. Paul Engelman's resume, worked under 5 presidents in his almost 40-year career. So you're doing something right if you continue to outlast the presidents of the university.
Yes.
You're there through 5 different presidents in his nearly 40-year tenure. So that a very impressive milestone there. Like you said, June the 1st is the MIAA Hall of Fame ceremony down in Kansas City, Nelson Atkins Museum Auditorium. Well, I think that almost wraps up our year. I think until maybe after June meetings or something. I don't know what we're going to do yet.
Yeah, we'll maybe try to get together this summer, and maybe we just talk about barbecue and
there we go.
And the Royals. But we'll have a podcast or two this summer. But Chris, it's been another great year. We appreciate what you do to help us tell the MIAA story. We had a lot of great guests, a lot of fun this year as we talked with a lot of our ADs, our athletic directors, and it was another great academic year for the MIAA, full of academic achievement and athletic success. And the fall will be here before we know it, and we'll be talking football, Chris.
Yeah, like you said, a great year of being able to talk to a lot of the athletic directors and university presidents. None of them wanted to make the big headlines we wanted them to, like calling each other out or anything like that. That would have been nice headlines for us to be able to have for this. But hey, they all played nice and got along really well. So, but great conversations with you as well as university presidents, athletic director. So thank you again very much for the time this year. And like you said, we'll talk barbecue, Royals, maybe Chiefs training camp. Maybe we just found out the Chiefs are going to play Denver in week 1. So maybe
There
we'll
you
talk
go.
about if it's Mahomes versus Bo Nix or Justin Fields versus, I don't know Denver's backup. I probably should, but I don't know him.
Well, we'll entertain our MIAA audience for sure, and we appreciate all the people that find this podcast and have a chance on our YouTube channels to follow along and support what we're doing. And it's great that we take time as a conference to celebrate the great things going on. And Chris, we appreciate you helping us do that.
Absolutely. It's been a blast this year, guys. We'll see you all this summer at some point.
Take care.